Captain Lee Taman stood on the bridge of the EU's Harmony, watching the stars through the large window. His coffee was getting cold, but he did not care. Today was the day that would change everything for humanity. Today they would meet aliens. For the first time, the ship's communication system made a soft beep. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park So-young from her station, "we have a message coming in." "Put it on the main screen," Lee said. The screen flickered to life. A strange creature appeared before them, looked like a walking crystal, with light dancing inside its body. When it spoke, its voice was deep and musical. "Greetings, humans. Of Earth, I am Chancellor Vexteri, of the crystalline hegemony. We speak for the Galactic Council. Your species has been observed. We invite you to join our community of civilized worlds." Lee felt his heart beat faster. This was it. First, contact. But something in the alien's voice made him worried. The creature seemed nervous, maybe even scared. "We are honored by your invitation," Lee replied. "When can we meet?" "Come to Nexus Prime. Coordinates will be sent to you. But know this, humans, the galaxy has rules, ancient rules. We hope you will follow them." The screen went dark. Lee looked. At his crew, they were all excited, but he could see worry in their eyes too. Dr. Park So-young walked over to him. She was the ship's expert on alien life, even though she had never seen a real alien before today. "Captain, I've been reading the files they sent us. There are 47 different alien species in this council. They've been working together for over 3,000 years. That's a long time," Lee said. "Yes, but here's the strange part. Most of these species took 500 to 1,000 years to develop space travel. They took another 500 years to visit other stars. They needed almost 1,000 more years before they were ready to join the council." Lee frowned. "How long did it take us?" "I had less than 200 years. We went from the first airplane to interstellar. Travel in less than 200 years." The two of them looked at each other. Something was not right about this situation. 3 days later, the Harmony arrived at Nexus Prime. The space station was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. It was beautiful, with smooth curves and bright lights. Ships from dozens of different worlds moved around it like busy insects. "Look at those ships," said engineer Kim Jae-wook, pointing at the screen. "They're all different, but they move the same way. Very slow, very careful." "Maybe they're just being polite," suggested Dr. Yoon Mi-kyun, the team scientist. But Lee was starting to understand. These aliens were not just being polite, they were being very, very careful about everything. The Harmony docked at a special port. Lee and his team put on their best uniforms and walked through the airlock. The air inside the station was breathable, but it felt strange to clean, to perfect. Chancellor Vextari was waiting for them. Up close, he was even more impressive. His crystal body was tall and elegant, and colors flowed through him like water. But his movements were slow and measured, as if he was afraid of breaking something. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," he said. "I am here to show you our civilization." As they walked through the station, Lee noticed something odd. Everything was perfectly organized. Every alien walked in straight lines. They spoke in quiet voices. They moved slowly and carefully. It was like being in a museum where everyone was afraid to touch anything. "Your station is very beautiful," Lee said to Vextri. "Thank you. It has looked the same for over 800 years. We do not change things without very careful thought." 800 years? Dr. Park asked. "Haven't you wanted to improve anything?" Vextari stopped walking. The question seemed to shock him. Improve? Why would we improve something that already works perfectly? Lee and his team exchanged glances. On Earth, people were always trying to make things better. Cars got faster every year. Computers got smaller and more powerful. Buildings got taller and stronger. The idea of keeping something the same for 800 years seemed impossible. They continued the tour. Vexteri showed them the council chambers, where representatives from 47 worlds made decisions together. The process was slow and formal. Every decision had to be approved by committees, then subcommittees, then reviewed by experts who had studied the problem for years. How long does it take to make a decision? Asked Kim Jawook. For important matters, sometimes 10 or 20 years. We must be very careful. A wrong decision could upset the balance we have maintained for thousands of years. The humans looked at each other again. On Earth, governments made big decisions in months or weeks. Companies made decisions in days or hours. Sometimes people made life-changing decisions in minutes. What about emergencies? Dr. Yoon asked. Emergencies are rare. Our civilization is stable. We have eliminated most sources of chaos. The word chaos seemed to make Vextari uncomfortable. Lee was beginning to understand why the aliens seemed nervous about humans. During lunch, they met representatives from other species. There was Zephyros from the Ethereal Collective, a floating, cloud-like being who spoke in whispers. There was Morpheus from the Transcendent Order, who looked like a golden statue that moved very slowly. Each alien species was fascinating, but they all had one thing in common. They were all very, very careful about everything. They ate slowly, spoke quietly, and moved with perfect control. Tell us about human civilization, Zephyros asked in his whispery voice. Lee thought about how to explain Earth. Well, we have about 200 different countries. They don't always agree with each other. Sometimes they compete, sometimes they fight, sometimes they work together. We have thousands of different companies trying to make new products. We have millions of inventors and scientists all working on different problems. The aliens looked horrified. So much chaos, whispered Zephyros. How do you make decisions? We argue about it, said Dr. Park with a smile. We try different solutions. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we learn from them and try again. Morpheus spoke very slowly. On my world, we spend 50 years considering each new idea. We study every possible outcome. We make sure nothing can go wrong. But what if you miss a good opportunity while you're studying it? Asked Kim J-Wook. The question seemed to puzzle Morpheus. Opportunity. We do not understand this word in your context. Lee was starting to realize something important. These aliens were not just different from humans. They were afraid of the things that made humans human.
Oh.
They were afraid of change. Afraid of mistakes. Afraid of the unknown. As the day ended, Vextari walked them back to their ship. Your species is very young, he said. You will need time to learn our ways. The galaxy has been peaceful for thousands of years because we all follow the same rules. What if the rules need to be changed? Lee asked. Vextari's crystal body flickered with nervous colors. Rules do not need to be changed. They are perfect as they are. Back on the Harmony, Lee's team gathered in the meeting room. They were all thinking the same thing. Captain, said Dr. Park, I don't think they invited us to join their civilization. I think they invited us because they're afraid of what we might do if we're not part of it. Lee nodded. They've spent thousands of years building a perfect, stable galaxy. And now we've shown up with our chaos and our questions and our constant need to change things. So what do we do? Asked Kim J-Wook. Lee looked out at the stars. We'd be ourselves. We'd be human. And we see what happens. None of them knew that their conversation was being monitored by the Council's security systems. None of them knew that emergency meetings were already being called on dozens of worlds. None of them knew that the galaxy was about to change forever. The universe was not ready for humans. And now it was too late to turn back. The universe wasn't ready for humans. And now it's too late, Part 1. First Contact Protocol Captain Lee Taemin stood on the bridge of the EU's Harmony, watching the stars through the large window. His coffee was getting cold, but he did not care. Today was the day that would change everything for humanity. Today, they would meet aliens for the first time. The ship's communication system made a soft beep. Captain, said Lieutenant Park So-young from her station, we have a message coming in. Put it on the main screen, Lee said. The screen flickered to life. A strange creature appeared before them. It looked like a walking crystal, with light dancing inside its body. When it spoke, its voice was deep and musical. Greetings, humans. Of Earth, I am Chancellor Vextari, of the crystalline hegemony. We speak for the Galactic Council. Your species has been observed. We invite you to join our community of civilized worlds. Lee felt his heart beat faster. This was it. First, contact. But something in the alien's voice made him worried. The creature seemed nervous, maybe even scared. "We are honored by your invitation," Lee replied. "When can we meet?" "Come to Nexus Prime. Coordinates will be sent to you. But know this, humans, the galaxy has rules. Ancient rules. We hope you will follow them." The screen went dark. Lee looked at his crew. They were all excited, but he could see worry in their eyes too. Dr. Park So-young walked over to him. She was the ship's expert on alien life, even though she had never seen a real alien before today. "Captain, I've been reading the files they sent us. There are 47 different alien species in this council. They've been working together for over 3,000 years. That's a long time," Lee said. "Yes, but here's the strange part. Most of 3 months had passed since the humans arrived at Nexus Prime. Commander Choi Hae-yun-soo stood on the observation deck of the colony ship New Seoul. Looking down at the planet below, the world was supposed to be impossible to live on. The council had given it to humans as a test. "Sir," called engineer Nam Soo-jin from behind him, "the atmosphere processors are working perfectly. We'll have breathable air in the main settlement within 2 weeks." Choi smiled. The aliens had told them this planet would take at least 5 years to make livable. The humans had done it in 3 months. "What about the other settlements?" asked. "Settlement 2 is already growing food. Settlement 3 has started mining operations. And Settlement 4, ... double quotes, Nam paused, grinning. "Settlement 4 is building a spaceport," Choi laughed. The council had given humans 12 star systems to manage. These systems were supposed to be a challenge. Worlds that were too hot, too cold, too dangerous, or too poor in resources. The aliens expected it to take decades for humans to make them work. Instead, humans had turned the challenge into an opportunity. Dr. Yoon Mik-yoon was working on Settlement 5, a world covered in poisonous swamps. The council had said it was completely useless. But Yoon had discovered that the poison could be turned into a powerful fuel.
Ow.
Now the swamp world was producing energy for 3 other settlements. "The aliens keep sending inspectors," Nam said. "They can't believe what we're doing. What do they say?" Choi asked. "They keep asking how we work so fast. They want to know our secret." Choi thought about this. The secret was simple. Humans were not afraid to try new things. When something did not work, they tried something else. When they found a better way, they used it right away. The aliens seemed to find this terrifying. On Settlement 7, Captain Kung Dong-woo was dealing with a different kind of problem. The world was rich in metals, but it was also full of dangerous storms. The council had said it was too risky to mine. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're getting a distress signal from the ethereal research vessel. They're caught in a storm near the 4th moon." Kong looked at the storm readings. It was bad, the kind of storm that could tear a ship apart. Standard council procedure would be to wait for the storm to pass, then send a proper rescue mission. With the right equipment, that would take at least 3 weeks. "How long do they have?" Kong asked. "Maybe 6 hours before their ship breaks apart." Kong made a decision that would change everything. "Prep the rescue shuttle. We're going in." "Sir, we don't have the right equipment for storm rescue." "Then we'll make the right equipment." For the next 2 hours, Kong's crew worked like they had never worked before. They took parts from mining machines and combined them with shuttle engines. They used emergency patches and spare cables to build a storm shield. They created a rescue system that had never existed before. It was messy. It was dangerous. It was completely against council regulations. It worked perfectly. The human shuttle flew through the storm like it was nothing. They grabbed the alien research vessel and pulled it to safety. The whole rescue took 3 hours. When they got back to the settlement, Kong found a dozen alien ships waiting for him. Council inspectors, safety officials, and military observers had come to investigate what humans had done. "Captain Kang," said Inspector Vexteri, his crystal body flickering with confused colors. "You violated 17 safety protocols. used untested equipment. You risked the lives of your crew. Yes, sir, Kong said, and we saved the research team. That is not the point. You did not follow proper procedure. Your proper procedure would have let them die. Vextari had no answer for this. The rescued aliens were from the Ethereal Collective. Their leader, a cloud being named Whisper, floated over to Kong. "Human Captain," Whisper said in his soft voice, "we have studied your rescue operation. Built a working storm shield in 2 hours. Our best engineers said such a thing was impossible." "Nothing is impossible," Kong replied. "Some things are just harder than others." Whisper was quiet for a long moment. "We would like to learn how you did this." Inspector Vixtari's crystal body flashed with alarm. "The humans used dangerous methods, untested technology. This is not the way we do things." "But it worked," Whisper said quietly. Those 3 words sent shockwaves through the council. But it worked was not something aliens said. For thousands of years, the council had focused on doing things the right way, the safe way, the approved way. Results were less important than following rules. Back on Nexus Prime, emergency meetings were being held. Representatives from all 47 species gathered in the Great Council chamber. The room was filled with nervous energy. "The humans have been in our galaxy for 3 months, announced Council Elder Morpheus, his golden form moving slowly to the center of the room. In that time, they have accomplished what should have taken decades. They have turned poison swamps into energy farms," added Zephyros. "They have made 7 impossible worlds livable. They have saved our research team using equipment they built in 2 hours. And they have done all of this without asking permission," said War Commander Devastation, a massive armored being from the military synthesis. "They ignore our protocols. They create new technology without testing. They take risks that could destroy everything." Chamber filled with worried murmurs. For the first time in thousands of years, the council was afraid. "What do we do?" asked a representative from the Harmonic Resonance. "We control them," said Devastation. "We make them follow our rules." "But what if they refuse?" asked another. The chamber went quiet. Nobody had ever refused the council before. Meanwhile, on the human settlements, something else was happening. Aliens were arriving. Not official visitors or inspectors, but refugees. Young aliens who had heard about the human settlements and wanted to see them for themselves. Dr. Shin Hanul was working on Settlement 9 when the first refugees arrived. They were mostly young, the alien equivalent of teenagers and young adults. They came from a dozen different species. "Why are you here?" Shin asked them. "We want to learn," said a young crystalline named Brightedge. "We want to see how you make impossible things possible." "We want to understand chaos," added a young ethereal named Drift. Shin realized something important. The older aliens were afraid of humans, but the younger ones were curious. They wanted to learn how to think like humans, how to solve problems like humans, how to create like humans. "Our elders say you are dangerous," Brightedge continued. "They say you will destroy the peace we have built." "What do you think?" Shin asked. "I think you will change everything," Drift said, "and I think that might be good." More refugees kept coming, came secretly, without telling their governments. They wanted to work alongside humans, to learn human ways, to try new things. This was exactly what the council had been afraid of. The humans were not just changing the worlds they had been given, they were changing the aliens themselves. On Settlement 3, Engineer Obianco was working on a new project. He had been studying the alien faster-than-light travel system. It was very advanced, but it was also very slow and very limited. "What if we change this part?" asked his alien helper, a young transcendent named Quick Thought. The elders say, "It cannot be changed. It has worked the same way for 800 years. But what if it could work better?" Quick Thought was quiet for a moment. This was not how his species thought. They did not ask what if. They accepted things as they were. "Show me," Quick Thought said finally. Together, they began to work on something that would change space travel forever. They did not know that their work would soon make the entire galaxy much smaller. They did not know that their experiments would make it possible for any species to reach any world in hours instead of days. They were just trying to solve a problem the human way. Back on Nexus Prime, the Council was reaching a decision. They could not allow the humans to continue disrupting the galaxy. They could not let human ideas spread to other species. They could not risk the stability they had built over thousands of years. "We must act," announced Elder Morpheus. "Humans must be controlled. And if they refuse to be controlled," asked Vextory. "Then we will have no choice," said War Commander Devastation. "We will have to remove them from the galaxy." The vote was close, but it passed. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Council was preparing for war, but they had made one critical mistake. They thought they understood humans. They thought humans were just another species that could be controlled or eliminated. They were wrong. The humans were not just another species. They were the species that had looked at an impossible universe and decided to make it possible. They were the species that turned every limitation into an opportunity, every problem into a solution. And now they were about to show the galaxy what humans could really do when they were threatened. The universe was not ready for humans. And now it was definitely too late. 6 months had passed since humans first arrived in the galaxy. Admiral Park Seung-ho stood in the command center of the human space station Freedom, reading a message that would change everything. "Sir," said Lieutenant Baek Young-suk, "this is the official complaint from the Galactic Council. They're not happy with us." Park read the message carefully. The Council accused humans of dangerous innovation, unauthorized technological development, and corruption of established galactic order. But the part that worried him most was at the end. "They want us to stop everything we're doing," Park said to his staff. "No more new technology. No more helping other species. No more changing anything. And if we refuse," asked Commander Lim Jae-sung, "then we get kicked out of the galaxy." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. Earth was too far away to help. The human settlements were still young and small. If the Council decided to force them out, humans would be alone in a hostile galaxy. But Park was not thinking about surrender. He was thinking about the hundreds of alien refugees who had come to human settlements seeking freedom. He was thinking about the young aliens who had learned to dream of better things. He was thinking about the impossible becoming possible. "Get me a connection to all human settlements," Park said. "We need to talk." Meanwhile, on the Council homeworld of Nexus Prime, the emergency session was beginning. The Great Chamber was filled with representatives from 47 species, all talking. At once, the noise was terrible. A mixture of musical crystal sounds, whispered ethereal voices, and the deep rumbles of ancient beings. Elder Morpheus raised his golden hand for silence. "We are here because the humans have gone too far. Are changing things that should not be changed. They are teaching others to question what should not be questioned. The harmonic resonance reports that their young people are abandoning meditation practices," said Council Member Zen Peace, a being of pure light. "They want to learn human chaos methodology instead." "My own species is affected," added Vextory, his crystal body flickering with worried colors. "Young crystallines are asking why we cannot change our ancient technologies. They want to improve things." This word "improve" is spreading like a disease. The chamber filled with frightened murmurs. For thousands of years, each species had maintained perfect stability. Young people learned the old ways and followed them exactly. Nobody questioned the system. Nobody wanted to change anything. Now, everything was falling apart. "Show them the report," said War Commander Devastation. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed images from across the galaxy, young aliens working alongside humans, building new technologies, solving problems in ways that had never been tried before. "This is from the ethereal homeworld," Morpheus explained. "Young ethereals are learning human brainstorming techniques. They are creating new ideas instead of following ancient wisdom." The image changed. "This is from the transcendent worlds. Young transcendents are building prototype technologies. They are testing things without spending decades in planning." More images appeared. On world after world, young aliens were abandoning their traditional ways. They were learning to think like humans, fast, creative, and willing to try new things. "Gets worse," Devastation continued. "The humans are sharing their technologies freely. They post detailed instructions on their internet systems. Any species can learn how to build human inventions. The chamber erupted in panic. The idea of sharing advanced technology freely was terrifying to the council. Each species had spent centuries carefully controlling who could learn their secrets. "We must act now," said Elder Morpheus, "before this contamination spreads further." On Settlement 4, Dr. Jang Bora was preparing for the most important meeting of her life. She was humanity's chief diplomat, and she had been called to defend her species before the full council. "What should I tell them?" she asked Captain Lee Taman, who had traveled from the Harmony to help her. "Tell them the truth," Lee replied. "Tell them we're just trying to help." "I don't think they see it that way." Lee looked out at the bustling settlement around them. Humans and aliens worked together, building new things, solving problems, learning from each other. It was beautiful and chaotic and full of life. "Maybe that's the problem," Lee said. "We see chaos as opportunity. They see it as danger." So formal. Hearing was held in the great council chamber. Dr. Jang stood alone in the center, surrounded by representatives from 47 species. The room was designed to make anyone in the center feel small and powerless, but Jang was not afraid. She was angry. "You accuse us of corruption," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "But what have we corrupted? Young people who want to learn? Species who want to grow? Worlds that want to improve? You've disrupted the balance," said Elder Morpheus. "For 3,000 years, we have maintained peace through stability. You threaten that stability. Your stability is not peace," Jang replied. "It's fear. You're so afraid of change that you've stopped growing. You've stopped dreaming. You've stopped becoming better." The chamber filled with angry sounds. Nobody had ever spoken to the council like this. "You will cease all unauthorized innovation," announced War Commander Devastation. "You will stop sharing technology with other species. You will conform to galactic standards. And if we refuse," Jang asked, "then you will be removed from the galaxy by force." Jang was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. "You know what your problem is? You think we're like you? You think we'll be scared of your threats and back down? You should be scared," Devastation said. "We have fleets that have kept peace for millennia. We have weapons you cannot imagine. You have weapons that haven't changed in millennia," Jang corrected. "You have fleets that move in predictable patterns. You have strategies that haven't been updated in 1,000 years. She looked around the chamber. "Do you know what humans have? We have 200 different countries that have been fighting and competing and learning from each other for centuries. What? Millions of people who wake up every day trying to solve problems you've never thought of." "Chaos," whispered Zephyros. "Innovation," Jang replied. "Adaptation, growth, evolution. All the things you've been afraid of for 3,000 years." The session ended with no agreement. The council gave humanity one final ultimatum: conform or be destroyed. But as Jang left the chamber, she noticed something. Some of the younger alien representatives were watching her with curious eyes. They were not afraid of her words. They were inspired by them. The contamination was spreading faster than the council realized. Back on the human settlements, the news of the ultimatum arrived quickly. Admiral Park called another meeting of all human leaders. "They want us to stop being human," he announced. "They want us to become like them, slow, careful, afraid of change." "What do we do?" asked Commander Choi. "We do what humans have always done," Park replied. "We adapt. We overcome. We find a way to win. Against the entire galaxy," asked Dr. Yoon. "The entire galaxy isn't against us," said Dr. Shin. "Half the young aliens in the galaxy are on our side. They just don't know it yet." She was right. In secret, young aliens across the galaxy were forming groups. They called themselves innovators, or dreamers, or builders. They shared human ideas and tried human methods. They began to question why things had to stay the same forever. On the ethereal homeworld, Drift and his friends had built a communication network that connected young aliens across multiple star systems. They used human-inspired technology to share ideas and plans on the crystalline worlds. Brightedge had started teaching other young crystallines how to modify their ancient technologies. They were making things work better, faster, more efficiently, on the transcendent worlds. Quick Thought had successfully tested the new faster-than-light system he had built with Engineer. Oh, it was 10 times faster than the old system and used half the energy. The Council's worst fears were coming true. The galaxy was changing, and they could not stop it. "We have no choice," announced Elder Morpheus at an emergency session. "We must use force. We must show the galaxy what happens when someone challenges the established order." "Are we really going to war with a species that has been in the galaxy for 6 months?" asked a nervous representative. "We are going to war with chaos itself," replied War Commander Devastation, "and we will win." But as the Council prepared for war, they did not know about the secret networks of young aliens. They did not know about the new technologies being developed in hidden laboratories. They did not know that half the galaxy was already learning to think like humans. Most importantly, they did not understand what they were really fighting. They thought they were fighting a small human colony. They did not realize they were fighting an idea, the idea that things could be better, that change was good, that the future could be different from the past. It was an idea that could not be killed with weapons. The universe was not ready for humans. But now it was too late to put the idea back in the box. The galaxy was about to learn. What happened when you tried to stop evolution itself? Admiral Park Seung-ho stood in front of the holographic display, watching Council warships move toward human space. The alien fleet was massive, over 500 ships from dozens of different species. It was the largest military force the galaxy had seen in 1,000 years. "They're really doing it," said Commander Lim Jae-sung. "They're coming to destroy us. How long do we have?" Park asked. 3 days until they reach our outer settlements," replied Captain Baekhyung-soo. Park looked at his staff. They were scared, but they were not giving up. That was the human way. When faced with impossible odds, humans did not surrender. They found a way to win. "Send a message to all human settlements," Park said. "Tell them to prepare for Operation Wildfire." "Sir," said Dr. Eun-Kung-mi, "are you sure about this?" "Once we start Operation Wildfire, there's no going back." "There's already no going back," Park replied. "The Council has made their choice. Now we make ours." Operation Wildfire was humanity's secret plan. For months, human engineers had been working on something that would change everything. They called it the open source revolution. On settlement 7, Engineer Obienjo received the wildfire signal. He smiled and turned to his team of human and alien workers. "It's time," he said. "Release everything." Within minutes, every piece of human technology was uploaded to the Galactic Communication Network. Detailed plans for faster-than-light engines, atmospheric processors, energy converters, medical devices, weapons systems, defensive shields, everything humans had built was now freely available to anyone in the galaxy. The aliens had expected humans to hide their secrets and prepare for a siege. Instead, humans did the most dangerous thing possible. They shared everything they knew. On the ethereal homeworld, young Drift received the data and immediately began sharing it with his secret network. Within hours, thousands of young ethereals were downloading human technology and building new devices. On the crystalline worlds, Dej and her friends began modifying their ancient crystal technologies using human methods. They turned communication crystals into powerful computers. They transformed healing crystals into energy weapons. On the transcendent worlds, Quick Thought gathered his fellow young engineers. They began building the improved faster-than-light drives that could move ships across the galaxy in hours instead of days. The Council had wanted to stop human ideas from spreading. Instead, they had triggered the largest technological revolution in galactic history. Dr. Shin Han-ul was working on Settlement 9 when the first refugees arrived. Not young aliens this time, but entire families fleeing their homeworlds. "Are you here?" Shin asked. An older ethereal named Gentlewind. "My daughter showed me the human technologies," Gentlewind said. "She built a healing device that saved my life. When the Council ordered her to destroy it, I knew we had to leave." More refugees kept coming. parents who saw their children discover new possibilities, workers who wanted to build better tools, scientists who wanted to study new ideas, came from every species in the galaxy. How many are coming? Jin asked her assistant. Over 100,000 so far, replied Lieutenant Namsu Jin, and more ships arrive every hour. The human settlements were becoming something new, not just human colonies, but mixed communities where any species could live and work and create together. But the most important part of Operation Wildfire was happening in secret. Dr. Song, Yijin, was leading a team of human and alien scientists in building something that had never existed before, a truly collaborative space fleet. The Council ships are designed for individual species, Song explained to her team. Each ship has one type of weapon, one type of shield, one type of engine. They work alone. What are we building? Asked her assistant, a young transcendent, named Brightmind. We're building ships that combine technologies from every species. Ships that can adapt and change in real time. Ships that work together like a single organism. The collaborative fleet was small, only 50 ships compared to the Council's 500, but each ship was a masterpiece of combined technologies. They had crystalline computers, ethereal sensors, transcendent engines, and human weapon systems. Most importantly, they were designed to learn and adapt during battle. On Nexus Prime, panic was spreading through the Council chambers, their spy. Networks reported chaos across the galaxy. The humans have released all their technologies, reported Shadow Walker Terminus, the Council's master spy. Young aliens everywhere are building human devices. Some are even improving on human designs. Is that possible? Asked Elder Morpheus. The humans designed their technologies to be improved, Terminus replied. They want others to make them better. The Council could not understand this concept. Every other species kept their best technologies secret. They shared only old, outdated information with other species. The idea of deliberately helping others become more powerful was insane. It gets worse, Terminus continued. Entire families are fleeing their homeworlds to join the humans. They're not being forced. They're choosing to leave. War Commander. Devastation slammed his armored fist on the Council table. This is exactly why we must destroy the humans now, before their contamination spreads further. But Vextari was beginning to have doubts. What if we're wrong? What if the humans are not trying to destroy us? Look around you, Devastation replied. They have turned our own children against us. They have given weapons to anyone who wants them. They are ending the peace we have maintained for 3,000 years. Maybe our peace was not as good as we thought, Vextari said quietly. The words shocked the chamber into silence. No council member had ever questioned the galactic peace before. You see, Devastation said. Even our own leaders are being corrupted by human ideas. We must act now. The council fleet continued toward human space, but they were not the only ships moving through the galaxy. Secret fleets of young aliens were also traveling toward the human settlements. They were coming to help Captain Kong. Dong Wu was preparing Settlement 4's defenses when his sensors detected incoming ships. For a moment, he feared the council fleet had arrived early. Then he recognized the energy signatures. Sir, said his communications officer, we're receiving a message from the lead ship. It's from the young ethereals we helped 6 months ago. The view screen flickered to life. Drift appeared, but he was not alone. Behind him were young beings from a dozen different species. Captain Kong, Drift said, we heard about the council fleet. We came to help. You'll be branded as rebels, Kong warned. Your own governments will hunt you. Our governments already hunt us for thinking different thoughts, replied Bright Edge, appearing on the screen. At least here we can think freely. More ships kept arriving. Young aliens who had learned human ways. Older aliens who wanted their children to grow up free. Scientists who wanted to discover new things. Engineers who wanted to build better machines. They came from across the galaxy, carrying weapons built with human-shared technology, flying ships improved with human methods. United by human ideas of cooperation and growth, Admiral Park watched the growing fleet through his command center windows. Humans and aliens worked together, preparing for the battle that would decide the future of the galaxy. "Sir," said Commander Lim, "we now have over 200 ships, not just human ships, mixed crews using combined technologies. Are we ready?" Park asked. Dr. Song stepped forward. "Sir, we're not just ready to fight. We're ready to show the galaxy what cooperation can accomplish." The Council fleet was still larger and more powerful, but they were fighting the old way, each species separate, each ship alone, each weapon designed centuries ago and never changed. The Human Alliance was fighting a new way, all species together, all ships connected, all technologies combined, and constantly improving. "Send a message to the Council fleet," Park ordered. "Tell them we don't want to fight. Tell them there's still time to talk." The response came quickly from War Commander Devastation. "Surrender now, or be destroyed." Park looked at his mixed crew of humans and aliens. They were afraid, but they were determined. They had tasted freedom, and they would not give it up. "Send our reply," Park said. "Tell them that the galaxy belongs to everyone who wants to make. It better tell them that progress cannot be stopped by force." "And if they attack anyway?" asked Captain Beak. Park smiled. "Then we show them that humans are not the only ones who can learn to fight differently." The two fleets moved toward each other through the darkness of space. One fleet represented 3,000 years of careful control and ancient traditions. The other represented 6 months of chaos, growth, and impossible dreams becoming real. The universe was not ready for humans, but humans had taught the universe to be ready for anything. The final battle was about to begin. 1 year had passed since humans first arrived in the galaxy. The two fleets faced each other in the darkness of space between the stars. The Council fleet was massive and perfectly organized, 500 ships arranged in ancient battle formations. That had not changed in 1,000 years. The Human Alliance fleet was smaller, but very different. Ships from dozens of species flew together in patterns that seemed chaotic but worked perfectly. Human vessels flew alongside ethereal cloud ships, crystalline energy cruisers, transcendent light fighters. War Commander Devastation stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Order. He looked at the strange fleet before him and felt confident. His ships were bigger, his weapons were more powerful, and his formations were tested by centuries of war. "They are fools," he said to his officers. "They fly in disorder. They have no discipline. We will destroy them easily." But on the bridge of the human flagship Freedom, Admiral Park Soon-jo was not worried. He looked at his mixed crew, humans and aliens working together at every station, and smiled. "Are all ships ready?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied Commander Lim Jae-soon. "The network is active. All ships are connected." The network was humanity's secret weapon. Unlike the Council ships that fought separately, the Human Alliance ships were linked together. They shared information instantly, adapted to changes in real time, and fought as one living organism. "Sir," said Captain Beak, "Youngsuk, we're receiving a transmission from the Council fleet." War Commander Devastation's face appeared on the main screen. He was a terrifying sight, covered in ancient armor, his eyes glowing with centuries of military training. "This is your final warning," Devastation announced. "Surrender now, and we will allow some of you to live. Continue to resist, and we will destroy every ship in your fleet." Admiral Park stepped forward. Behind him stood representatives from every species in his fleet: humans, ethereals, crystallines, transcendents, and dozens of others. "Commander Devastation," Park said calmly, "we don't want to fight you. We want to share the galaxy with you. There's room for everyone to grow and learn together." "Growth is chaos," Devastation replied. "Learning is dangerous. For 3,000 years, we have maintained perfect order. You threaten that order? Your order is dying," said Dr. Song Haijin, stepping up beside Park. "Look at your own fleet. Half your crews are young beings who dream of something better." It was true. Throughout the Council fleet, young aliens watched the confrontation with conflicted hearts. They had been ordered to fight, but many of them secretly admired what the humans had accomplished. "Enough talking," Devastation declared. "All ships, prepare to attack." But as the Council fleet moved into attack formation, something unexpected happened. 10 ships suddenly broke away from the main fleet and flew toward the human alliance. What is happening? Devastation demanded. On one of the defecting ships, a young crystalline commander named Clearsong spoke into her communicator. Commander, Devastation, we cannot fight against hope. We cannot destroy the future our children want to build. More ships began to defect. Young crews who had been inspired by human ideas turned against their own fleets. They flew toward the human alliance, broadcasting messages of freedom and growth. Stop them. Devastation ordered, fire on the defectors, but many of his ship commanders hesitated. They were being asked to destroy their own people for the crime of choosing hope over fear. Sir, said one of Devastation's officers, perhaps we should reconsider. No, Devastation roared. All ships, attack the human fleet now. The battle began with a massive exchange of energy weapons. The Council's ships fired in perfect coordination, their ancient weapons blazing across space. For a moment, it looked like the human alliance would be overwhelmed. But then something amazing happened. The human fleet began to adapt instead of fighting. In rigid formations, they flowed like water around the enemy attacks. Ships that were damaged were immediately supported by others. Weapons that proved ineffective were quickly modified. Tactics that failed were abandoned and replaced with new ones. They're changing their strategy in the middle of battle, observed one of Devastation's officers with alarm. Impossible, Devastation replied. No fleet can change tactics that quickly, but the human alliance could. Their ships were connected by the network, sharing information and learning from each battle experience. When one ship discovered an effective attack pattern, all ships immediately learned it. When one crew found a way to defend against Council weapons, every crew instantly knew the method. Captain Kong Dongwu, commanding a small group of mixed ships, discovered that Council shields were weak against a specific type of energy pulse. Within seconds, every ship in the human alliance was using the same attack. Dr. Yoon Meekyung, working from the science vessel New Discovery, found a way to disrupt Council communication systems. Immediately, every hacker in the fleet began using her technique. The Council fleet was fighting an enemy that learned and adapted faster than they could respond. It was like fighting a creature that evolved in real time, Sir, reported Devastation's tactical officer. We're losing ships rapidly. Their attacks are becoming more effective every minute. How is this possible? Devastation demanded. The answer came from an unexpected source. On the bridge of a Council ship called Harmony of Ages, an old ethereal named Ancient Wisdom was watching the battle with growing understanding. They fight like they live, Ancient Wisdom said to his crew. They share everything. They'll learn from every mistake. They turn every loss into knowledge that makes them stronger. Should we retreat? Asked his young second dash in dash command. Ancient dash Wisdom was quiet for a moment. No, he said finally. We should surrender, sir. Not surrender in defeat, Ancient Wisdom explained. Surrender our fear. Look at what they have built. Look at how they fight together. Look at how they include everyone. On his ship, Ancient Wisdom did something that shocked the entire fleet. He opened a communication channel to Admiral Park. Human Admiral, Ancient Wisdom said. This is Commander Ancient Wisdom of the ethereal vessel Harmony of Ages. We wish to join your alliance. The words sent shockwaves through both fleets. A Council commander was defecting in the middle of battle, Commander. Devastation screamed over the communications. You are committing treason. I am choosing evolution over extinction, Ancient Wisdom replied calmly. I am choosing growth over stagnation. I am choosing the future over the past. More Council ships began to defect. The young crews that had been forced to fight suddenly saw an alternative. They could join the side that welcomed growth and change. Within an hour, the Council fleet had lost over 200 ships to defection. The remaining ships were scattered and demoralized. War Commander Devastation found himself commanding a fleet that no longer wanted to fight. His own officers were questioning his orders. His crews were asking why they were fighting against beings who only wanted to make things better. All ships retreat, Devastation finally ordered. We return to Nexus Prime. The battle was already over. The real victory was not the defeat of the Council fleet, it was the transformation of the galaxy itself, as the Council ships limped away. Admiral Park opened communications to all ships in the area, both Alliance and Council vessels. War is over, he announced. But the real work is just beginning. We have a galaxy to rebuild. We have civilizations to heal. We have a future to create together. On the bridge of his flagship, Devastation stood alone. His ancient armor felt heavy like the weight of 3,000 years of rigid tradition. Around him, his officers waited for orders that would never come. For the first time in his long life, War Commander Devastation began to wonder if there might be a better way to live. Behind him, young members of his crew were quietly discussing the possibility of learning human ways. The contamination had reached even his own ship. The universe was not ready for humans. But now, the universe was ready for change. And change, as the humans had taught them, was the most powerful force in existence. 2 years had passed since the Great Battle. Captain Lee Taman, now an old man with gray hair, stood on the observation deck of the space station New Harmony. Below him, ships from hundreds of different species came and went in peaceful cooperation. "Grandfather," said his granddaughter, Lieutenant Lee Sora, "the new collaborative ship is ready for its first mission." Lee looked at the ship through the window. It was beautiful, a vessel designed by minds from 50 different species working together. Its hull combined crystalline technology with ethereal energy systems. Its engines used transcendent light drives, improved with human modifications. Its crew would include beings from across the galaxy. "What will you call it?" Lee asked. "The Impossible Dream," Sora replied with a smile. "Because that's what humans taught us, that impossible things become possible when everyone works together." Remembered the day he had first met Chancellor Vextari, when the galaxy was ruled by fear and stagnation. Now Vextari was one of the leaders of the new Galactic Federation, an organization based on growth, learning, and cooperation. The old council had not been destroyed. Instead, it had been transformed. When War Commander Devastation returned to Nexus Prime after his defeat, he found a galaxy that no longer wanted to live in the old ways. "The humans have won without conquering," Elder Morpheus had announced in the final council session. "They have defeated us without destroying us. They have shown us that there is a better way to exist." Transformation had not been easy. Many older aliens struggled to accept change after thousands of years of stability, but the young aliens embraced the new ways with enthusiasm. Dr. Song Haijin, now the first director of Galactic Innovation, had established growth centers on every major world. These were places where any being could come to learn, experiment, and create without fear of failure. "The most important thing we learn from humans," Song often said, is that failure is not the end, it's the beginning of learning. On the former Council homeworld, now called Unity Prime, a meeting was taking place that would have been impossible just 2 years before. Representatives from over 300 species sat together in a circular chamber, discussing new projects and sharing ideas. Former Chancellor Vextari, his crystal body now glowing with excited colors instead of fearful ones, stood to address the assembly. "Friends," he said, "today we celebrate the opening of the Galaxy University. For the first time in our history, knowledge from every species will be shared freely with every other species." The chamber erupted in cheers from hundreds of different types of beings. The Galaxy University was built on human principles: open, access to information, collaborative research, and the belief that everyone could contribute to the advancement of knowledge. But the most remarkable transformation had happened to War Commander Devastation himself. The great warrior who had once tried to destroy the humans now worked as Director of Galactic Defense, but defense with a difference. "Our new defense fleet is not meant to control or conquer," Devastation explained to a group of young officers. "From many species, it is meant to protect the freedom to grow, to learn, and to dream." Devastation had discovered that protecting hope was far more satisfying than enforcing fear. His new fleet included ships designed for rescue operations, disaster relief, and helping young civilizations develop peacefully. The changes went deeper than just politics and military. Entire civilizations had been transformed by human ideas. The ethereal collective, once focused only on quiet meditation, now built fantastic cities where music and art flowed through the air like living things. Young ethereals learned to create beauty alongside ancient wisdom, the crystalline. Hegemony had opened their ancient crystal libraries and allowed other species to help improve their technologies. Their crystal computers now worked millions of times faster. Powered by collaborative innovation, the transcendent order had abandoned their isolated pursuit of perfection and instead began teaching other species how to reach their full potential. They discovered that helping others grow made them grow as well. Dr. Shin Hanel, now working at the Galaxy University, was conducting a research project that amazed everyone. She was studying how different species learned from each other and made discoveries that no single species could have made alone. The humans taught us that diversity is strength, she explained to her mixed class of students. When different minds work together, they create solutions that no one mind could imagine. Her current project involved 50 different species working together to solve the problem of faster-than-light communication. The solution they developed was based on principles from quantum physics, crystal resonance, ethereal harmony, and human chaos theory. It allowed instant communication across the entire galaxy. On Settlement 7, engineer Oh Byung-ho was working with a team that included beings from every known species. They were building something that had never existed before, a ship that could travel to other galaxies. "Why do we want to go to other galaxies?" asked his assistant, a young transcendent named Farsight. "Because that's what sapient beings do," Oh replied. "Explore, we discover, we find new things to learn about. What if we find hostile species in other galaxies?" Oh smiled. "Then we'll teach them what we learned from humans, that cooperation is stronger than conflict, that growth is better than stagnation, and that the universe is big enough for everyone to succeed." Back on the space station New Harmony, Captain Lee Taemin was preparing for his granddaughter's departure on the Impossible Dream. The ship's mission was to explore a distant part of the galaxy where new civilizations might be developing. "What will you do if you find young species that are afraid and aggressive?" Lee asked Sora. "We'll do what humans have always done," she replied. "We'll show them that there's a better way. We'll share our knowledge. We'll invite them to grow with us. And if they refuse, then we'll wait. We'll be patient. We'll keep the invitation open until they're ready to accept it." Lee was proud of his granddaughter. She had learned the most important human lesson, that you cannot force someone to evolve, but you can inspire them to want to. As the Impossible Dream prepared to depart, Lee thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. Humans had arrived in a galaxy that was ancient, stable, and afraid of change. They had not conquered it through force or destroyed it through revolution. Instead, they had done something far more powerful. They had shown the galaxy what it could become. The old galaxy had been ruled by fear of the unknown. The new galaxy was driven by excitement about possibilities. The old galaxy had valued safety above all else. The new galaxy valued growth, learning, and the courage to try new things. "Grandfather," Sora said, "do you think the universe is ready for us now?" Lee laughed. "The universe will never be ready for beings who refuse to accept limitations. But that's okay. Ready or not, we'll keep exploring, keep growing, keep becoming more than we were yesterday." The Impossible Dream launched into space, carrying a crew from dozens of species toward unknown stars. It was a ship built on human principles but owned by the entire galaxy. As Lee watched it disappear into the distance, he reflected on what humans had really brought to the galaxy. It was not advanced technology or superior weapons or brilliant strategies. It was something much simpler and much more powerful, the belief that things could always be better, and the courage to make them so. The universe had not been ready for humans, but humans had taught the universe to be ready for anything, and in a galaxy where anything was possible, the only limit was imagination itself. The journey was just beginning. Epilogue. 100 years later, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Beings from thousands of species worked together on projects that spanned entire star systems. Cities floated in space, built by cooperative effort and powered by technologies that combined the best ideas from every known civilization, grew up learning that diversity was beautiful, that cooperation was natural, and that the future was limited only by their willingness to dream. And in the museums of Unity Prime, visitors could see displays about the ancient time when the galaxy was ruled by 47 species that were too afraid to change. The displays always ended with the same message: the universe was not ready for humans. But humans taught the universe that being ready was not the point. The point was being willing to grow. Somewhere among the stars, new ships continued to explore, carrying the human message to civilizations that had not yet learned to dream. And the galaxy continued to evolve, one impossible possibility at a time. The universe would never be ready for beings who refused to accept that anything was impossible. And that was exactly how humans liked it.